Welcome to the Developer's Kitchen, where we implement the recipes of game design that we have learned. I'm Neha Fosha of Cobbler Studios, and I'll be taking you through the early steps of our first recipe, roguelikes. Though I encourage you to follow along and create a similar idea of your own, don't copy mine exactly. Doing so will prevent you from gaining the valuable experience of coming up with your own original ideas. Because we have yet to cover much about the group of games we're on right now, let's work on a concept and some basic designs. Though the order doesn't particularly matter, I'll start with the mechanical concept over the setting for this game. That is because our focus for this recipe is based on a genre and not a particular setting. As mentioned earlier, this recipe is built on a roguelike. I've also covered what the three main pillars of roguelikes are in my previous video. Pause this video and go watch that one if you either don't know those three pillars or need a refresher. Now that you're back or have continued on this video, make sure to grab a notes app, piece of paper and pencil, or some other form of writing your ideas down. You don't want to forget them. And just that way you can see my own notes, I'll be typing them up here on the screen. So, where do we start? Pick one of the pillars and have that be your focus. I'm going to go with rewarding player knowledge. To do this, why don't I have my meta progression, which is a term I'll be covering next week, be the gaining of player knowledge. Though it means players returning to the game will have a distinct advantage, it will help me keep this project to the smaller scale that I want. Of course, you are free to make your game to whatever scale you wish. Especially if you chose variability as your focus, you may want a large-scale game. As I just did, use your focus pillar to create a core concept. Once you have that, find ways to make sure that the other pillars are not forgotten. In my case, I'll want several small pieces interacting with each other. This will multiply the amount of variability I have without creating a lot more work in balancing for me to do. As for difficulty, I can create the mechanics' inner workings akin to a puzzle. The game will be simple once the knowledge is gained, but gaining that knowledge may take some time. With the concept now nailed down at least somewhat, we should create a setting. Think of this as having taken the meat out to thaw and now deciding how we want to plate this delicious experience. My base idea left me fairly open in terms of settings, but yours may not have. Make sure you pick a setting that doesn't clash with the mechanical ideas, because it is hard to freeze those ideas once you've thought them up. I'm feeling adventurous, so I think I'll create mine as a mixture of cyberpunk and fantasy. Now, I haven't covered much about settings working with genres, so just experiment with some ideas of your own and see what feels right. Now that you have basic ideas in place, you'll want to come up with more specifics. This will include characters, world building, and plot, among other things. I haven't covered these yet though, so create them how you would like. Once you have these design notes to this point, I encourage you to find a way to get some art going. Whether doing the art on your own or getting a friend to help, it's nice to more easily visualize what the final product will be. The art doesn't need to be good, just close enough to what is in your head. Anyways, that's all for today. We don't want to do too much too quickly or our flavors won't seep in. I'll be back next week to talk about more lessons in the roguelike genre. We'll still be among the stars, but this time things will be up close and personal. See you then.